how to become insanely attractive in 90 days. Because let's face it, life is not about us grasping for the things that we want, such as the dream job that you're looking to get in 90 days, the sales promotion, scaling your business, starting your business, and having an increased life expansion in 90 days. Today, we're gonna end the era of us grasping for it, and we're just gonna sit on our thrones and allow things to come to us in a more effortless and pleasant way. So let's get started. The thing is, when it comes to the term attractive, as a teenager, I associated the meaning of being attractive with things like, ready? Looks maxing? What about friends maxing too? I associated that being attractive meant that I had to go on a 90 days glow up, hair perm or straightening hair. I associated with having to diet and get really fit, have a bikini bod, teeth whitening probably these days. And even more than this, personality has to be charismatic, so you have to be hot, you have to be all the things as a shell to attract. So well-dressed, and you have a good sense of style, so you're stylish, all these things. Popular, posture, height as well. So now we're going down to superficial things, which I honestly get that since when I was a child, 90s, whatever, whichever era, 2000s and till this day, the shell of who you are kind of has to be presentable. So yes, in a way, you kind of have to look great as the best version of you, and you probably have to whiten your teeth and take care of yourself so that you are presentable to the world. But this video is not about looks maxing and glowing up to be attractive. It's about developing your inner character that makes opportunities, people who have money to pay you, companies who have the budget to hire you, to literally want to associate themselves with you so that you get generously paid and you get treated right. This is what being attractive is about for this video. So now, I'm not going to focus on any of this because this is a byproduct of you creating a great inner character. And today we're going to set the foundation straight. And the thing with being attractive is that when it comes to this person who sees herself as inferior to the world, which I have been for decades, inferior to the jobs that I wanted, inferior to older people in the industry who would interview me, inferior to more experienced people in the industry. And so this version of you has the self-concept and the internal monologue that says that I'm not enough. For sure, objectively, when you look at the resume where it says you got to have 5+ years experience to get started, of course, objectively, you're going to say, I'm not enough. Because where do I get the experience if you don't open the door for me to get experience? So therefore, we're not gonna live in the world where we're using our rational and egoic mind to try to find answers. But what we're first gonna do to make ourselves more attractive is we're going to take the elevator up in terms of our inner consciousness before we do anything else, and make sure that we are of vibrational match and of resonance to the things that we want, whether that is 100 grand Google job, whether that is your 6-7 figure business, whether that is your promotion, whether that is just opportunities, passing auditions, all these things, and basically just getting a yes from life. First, we're literally going to make sure that before we even go into building our inner character, we have to mentally decide that we're not going to operate as our lower self, who you can literally looks max and glow up max and confidence max and friends max. And interestingly, before I filmed this video, I went to see, a month ago, I went to see the Michael Jackson's movie, and I absolutely love it so much. And then the second time I took my dad to see it as well. And he was like, Jafar Jackson is just perfect for the role. He's so good. But then just then, before I filmed this video, I saw this video about how there was another influencer who impersonated Michael Jackson. I'm not gonna say his name here, but he looks a lot like Michael Jackson. And I saw that he has a huge following on both TikTok and some on YouTube. And he got eliminated from the first round of auditions. And then I read the comments and they were like, yeah, because they're choosing Jafar Jackson because it's a bloodline kind of thing. But it reminds me of the time where everything looks correct on paper. Qualified, have a great charisma, my speaking is not bad, I have some level of confidence on the outside. So when I go and compete in contests, on paper and objectively, it seems like I should win. But at the time, I just didn't understand, why didn't they choose me? Why didn't they win? So when I thought back about this, like the casting for Michael Jackson, the comments would say, but Jafar Jackson embodied the essence of his uncle. And it's not just about looking like the thing. It's not just about appearing like the thing, but it's about embodying the essence. So therefore, we're gonna actually, besides just looks maxing and upgrading our wardrobe and personality maxing, we're gonna make sure we're gonna get our essence correct. So that as much as, yes, we have to take some aligned action and effort to receive these offers, but we're gonna do it in an aligned way that is not as brute force, but it's more effortless and more seamless in your experience. So let's get started in the solutions on how to do this. See, when it comes to embodying the essence of the person that has the Google job, the people from Google literally like, she's the real deal, I just want to work with her. There's just something about her where she's absolutely qualified. Her portfolio is a yes, but it's just something about her character that makes me want to work with her. Or whether that is you meet Joe who has $100,000 budget to hire you to do like motivational training for his staff in the company, like, you know, motivational training, making sure people are in the right mindset, and those kind of trainings where the staff receives the benefit and as a result it increases the company's sales, or whether that is sales training in Joe's company. If you want to win over the people that have the resources to hire you and to get you moving forward, you need to embody the essence of the person who has it. So therefore, the essence, how do you create the essence? It's created through doing things each day that increases your self-respect. And what other way to increase your own self-respect and having a thriving relationship with yourself than to have some self-discipline? But the thing is, as somebody who's high achieving and desperate at the same time in the past to achieve success, I would go about discipline the completely wrong way. So what would happen is that I would do a brute force kind of discipline. And a brute force discipline is kind of like the Michael Jackson situation where like everything looks good on paper. The guy looks exactly like Michael Jackson in the modern era. And he has the following and the influence, and the comments were like, you should get the role for this. But for some reason, they chose Jafar, who, when he's not in the role, he doesn't really look like Michael Jackson a lot. His smile, his essence, yes, But from first glance, my dad was like, I'm not convinced that this guy could play Michael Jackson until he watched the movie, because the outer shell doesn't completely resemble the thing. So the thing is that when you are operating as this version of you who is trying to get your resume correct, so you might like edit your resume tons of times, which back in my teenage years, my friends were like, Patty, you've got to edit your resume, keep editing your resume and keep applying so you get a job. And I've got people telling me, when I was trying to apply for Qantas like many years ago, she was like, we got to keep applying and sending resume out to many people and don't give up. But then, okay, so you send out 100 resume. Or let's just say you want to have a beautiful lifestyle business where, yes, you need a solid amount of money, but more than anything, you need a balance between the time that you get to invest in nourishing yourself and making money. So it's a lifestyle business. But then what you end up doing is falling into the trap of sending out like, hundreds of cold DMs and cold emails and stuff. Because you're like, well, how else do I get clients if I don't cold email people and do cold outreach and stuff? Or you're trying your best to convince Jane or Joe to please give me that job. And what you do is you over prepare. So I've done these things and I hated myself for it. Every time I get an outright rejection and everything looks correct on paper, even things like speech contest, and I practiced 100+ times, one speech in 3 months. I practiced diligently. I'm like, I have to win it next year. And I just kept preparing. And after I practiced, I would present these speeches every fortnight in Toastmasters. And I'm telling myself, I have to be able to get to district level and then go and compete internationally. And I prepared myself for it with every cell of my body. And yet life at the time, life gave me a very, very simple rejection. And at the time, I would blame the universe, that the universe is unfair. They choose these kind of people and all these kind of excuses to blame myself. To blame why I couldn't get the things that I want. So therefore, what would happen is that this person who is not embodying the essence of the person who has it, they mentally think they have self-discipline, but their way of approaching it is wrong. So therefore, they discipline themselves. Let's just say this is 90 days and this is 45, this is 0. They discipline themselves in things like, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m., which I have. And then they're like, I'm going to massively practice speeches and everything. Or practice the interview. And then they keep at it. But then what happens is that they face a dip. And everyone faces a dip. And the thing is, once they start facing a dip, because their way of approaching life is not about embodying the essence, what they start to do is when they dip right here, they diminish themselves. They blame themselves, they criticize themselves. Why can't you do better, Patty? I told you have to get stronger. Why? Why not? Why couldn't you do this? It's so easy. Why are you so weak? This is what I tell myself all the time for decades. Why are you so weak? And the thing is, when you diminish yourself, you're putting negative life force into your routine. So then therefore, when you want to come back up and do your speech, you're like, nah, I'm tired. I'm just tired this process. I don't know what's weighing me down. I'm tired. But then you still try to go at it. You still try. But your energy is not compounding in a way that is exponential. It's kind of like on and off, on and off, on and off with yourself. So then you still try to wake up at 5 a.m. but then the next morning, shit, I'm tired. So I'm just going to wake up at 10 a.m. instead or 11 a.m. And then once you dip, you tell yourself things like, you're so lazy. You criticize yourself for not being able to hold yourself at a high standard. So then there's another negative life force that goes in here. So then by the time it's 90 days, in your mind, you're like, I did the very best to stay disciplined. But in every step of the way, when there's this self-diminishing happen here, your life force gets drained out of you because you don't feel nourished by the universe. And that's because you don't nourish yourself. So again, you're diminishing yourself and you're disrespecting yourself. So therefore, in terms of self-discipline, we have to approach in a way where our energy compounds, where every single step that we take, regardless of in the outer reality, we win or lose, in the end, it's still a win. So this person, what they now do, smart Patty, who finally figured it out after so long, she takes the elevator up in a consciousness. And she is vibrationally aligned to the goals that she wants. So let's say first place and love and success. Mentally, she's already there. So what happens is that the way that she approaches discipline is different. What she does with discipline is that she starts off in really small incremental steps for sure. And she makes a much slower progress than this person. But in every step of the way, when she starts to dip as well because she's tired, and let's say she's waking up at 10 a.m. here, instead of saying to herself, why can't you do this? Why are you so lazy? What she does is she empowers herself. So instead she'll be like, I understand you, that you're tired and you wake up at 10 a.m. today, but what about all the previous wins that you had? At least today, you had a great convo with somebody else. Or you received a free coffee too. Or you finished this work too, you edited. I edited today. I already have 8 videos up on my YouTube engine, not published yet. But that's a win for me. So you acknowledge all your previous wins that you've already done, so that on the days when you start to dip and you're like, I woke up at 10 a.m., I don't feel attractive. Or I woke up at 1 p.m., I don't feel attractive. Instead of you diminishing yourself, you discipline yourself to empower you. So then when you feel like, I'm not against myself, I'm my own best friend, I'm my own motivational coach, I am that mentor that I've always looked for, I am the person cheering me up, what happens is that you start filling yourself with positive life force. Positive life force. So then the next time you're like, actually today I want to work out. So you do. And then you keep stacking these small wins, but then you dip again. You're like, my muscles are sore today. I did like a long swim. I lifted heavy weights. So I'm just going to rest. And in this rest time, you continue empowering yourself instead of diminishing yourself. So then this discipline stacks and you empower yourself till the outer reality literally matches your inner state. So now you start to have the world respect you because for at least 90 days, you fell asleep every night with the feeling of self-respect, feeling secure in yourself. So therefore, let's just say on all these times, no matter if it's a high or low, every day it's self-respect. But it's not just feeling it, you're also taking certain actions that amplify self-respect. So when you wake up at 10 a.m., in a way, if you're burnt out, you are respecting yourself by getting enough sleep. So you start to view your dips in a different way that, let's just say, I'm not as productive today. But that time that I'm deeply rejuvenating is self-respect. Because if I override my nervous system, that is self-disrespect, that is self-abandonment. So therefore, coupled with you choosing to feel this way, you also take actions like rest and moderate like intensity. And you get enough sleep. But then you also work hard during the hours where you have to work hard. So the thing I told myself is that no matter what you do, Patty, from today onwards, I have a sense that for me to be successful, if I attend a 9 to 6 p.m. workshop, and there's 3 opportunities for me to attend it, after the first round, I already know every material because I attended first time. But I'm going to attend it 3 times. And for every other time I attend, I'm going to get even more present at engaging with the host, so that not only does the information repeat itself in my system, but I sink in the vibration of success. I soak in the vibration of wow, this guy's a real deal. So therefore, the more I'm engaged with the presentation 9 to 6 p.m., the more I'm receiving that kind of positive life force to fill into my discipline, so that when you work hard and now it's time for you to rest, you don't feel guilty for resting. So you go all in with everything and you do it properly. You rest properly, you sleep properly, you work properly. And when you do all of that properly, your self-respect tank has to go through the roof. It has to. And once you respect yourself, how can Jane from Google and Joe that has 100 grand to give you not respect you? It's going to show through the way you speak, the way you smile, the way your posture is, the way you walk even, and the way you answer questions, and the most important thing, the way you listen to people actively. Because people who respect themselves, they actually respect others too. So instead of you listening to just respond, you're actively listening to understand and have compassion for people. And that is insanely attractive. So, we're going to be on to the second point now. Let's go. When it comes to being attractive to job opportunities, people going to hire you, and as a result, probably being attractive for romantic partners as well, is having self-trust. What is more important than somebody who has a sense of inner anchor where they know that they are the real deal? So you don't have to overly run and chase for opportunities, but instead you keep building your inner self-concept and you compound her to the best of your ability, to the point where you are now rising. You are now rising to match the version of you who has. But the thing is, you have to develop a sense of self-trust. So how do we build self-trust? Well, the thing is, one of the ways that help me feel insanely attractive is when hard times hit, but I don't let myself swing just because something is trying to make me swing. So let's just say that for the next 90 days, you start to make some massive internal shift. And this is you right here. So what you have been doing is you've been elevating yourself to the max. You're elevate consciousness maxing. So basically, your decisions, your habits, your actions, your mental attitude, your focus, your emotions, your beliefs, your thoughts, your self-talk, even your attention and your expectation. Basically, this version of you who is elevated to quite a high degree now to match what you want, you start doing it all right. So you're elevating every day and you're making all the right progress. So this will happen to me last year for a few times where every 3 months, this is what happens. Like I would compound my internal wins correctly. And then inside I'm thinking, wow, my habits, my actions, my decisions, my mental attitude, it's starting to have this exponential point where I'm starting to feel like I'm conquering myself so well. Whatever the 3D throws at me, I'm conquering myself. But what happens is that sometimes, because you have a lot of baggage from your past, and this baggage convinces you that you're not enough, you're not worthy of the goals that you want, the guy that you want, nah, you should settle for what you don't want because that's all you ever deserve kind of thing. If you dwell in that baggage for decades like I did, from my teen years to the whole of my 20s, and suddenly you make this humongous leap in terms of humongous consciousness leap, where you're deciding now that my decisions, habit, action, mental attitude, focus, emotions, beliefs, thoughts, self-talk, and expectation is absolutely going to match the most ideal version of me. And the thing is, you also spend 90 days proving to yourself that you have a solid level of discipline to do things that amplify a sense of self-respect. Your old self, your old frequency, your old thought forms, the egregores, your old beliefs, the pendulum, it's gonna swing hard. So it's gonna give you a sense of beginner's luck to kind of like cheer you up, to hype you up so that you think that everything you're doing is right. So that if it can attempt to make your self-worth sway because some external event is influencing your self-worth to oscillate way too high and way too low, then it's gonna literally make you collapse like that. It's gonna bring it all the way down. So what happened was that last year, when I started waking up at 4 a.m. to catch the 4:30 a.m. bus, and I go to the beach and I start swimming in the cold, and I felt so phenomenal. I'd catch the ferry to see the sunrise, and I was able to slowly over time be able to travel far but not burn out and do all these routines that I wanted. And then I'd come home and then I'd start to experiment with makeup. I'd start getting more fit, doing these beauty reels and having new ideas on my YouTube channel, and I just keep leveling up. And the thing is, it gave me like a reward. So it gave me all these wins in the first 14 days. Then after I felt like I'm conquering myself, it started throwing me obstacles, the 3D reality. It threw me all these obstacles like, okay, now there's like a stray cat that needs your attention. So every time I leave early, right? Like at 4 a.m. literally, the stray cat would vomit at 4:10 a.m., like a fresh vomit. And my bus is at like 4:30. So I have like 15 minutes to quickly wipe the vomit in winter. So I'd quickly wipe the vomit so my dad doesn't have to. And then I'd like quickly go to the bus to then go and do my coaster walk in the morning, and then it's freezing. And I was like, what the hell's going on? The minute that I'm starting to conquer myself and I'm spending 12 days out and I feel like I'm on top of the world, now there's like hard things that makes you feel heavy. It's like now you have more burden, so that when you ascend by 100, now the old frequency is bringing you some sort of weird challenge and obstacle to descend you by 100. So it makes you have a break even. So you're back at square one. And sometimes it convinces you that you were actually better off before you even started this personal development journey. So then eventually I adapted. So I got better, and the 3D threw me some neutral. The next thing that happened was that I told myself that there's this coloring contest and the prize was 20 grand. And I told myself that I've been reading the Kabbalion, I've been reading the Hermetic Principle, I've been studying this, the 3 magic words and going deep intensely at it. So I would spend like literally 7 hours straight just getting the paints and coloring this thing in and just absolutely be in flow, feeling like I'm winning and winning. And I was doing like literally 10 iterations of that the coloring, so that I could win. And then after that, I'd finished 7 days earlier before the final submission date. So I had 7 days to be like, you know what, I'll help them do the marketing. I will start making these short reels to help them gain exposure so that they know that this is my coloring sheet, and they would also gain, have marketing material for it. So then for a while I was like, I'm convinced I'm gonna earn 20 grand from this. Easy money. I'm gonna get it right. I put in the hours, I did the marketing for them, everything's correct. I feel like I'm winning. On top of that, I was also starting to reach 1,000 meters on 4 a.m. wake up. I was starting to go all over Sydney, and I'm winning and everything's feeling good, and I'm losing weight too, because I'd wake up and just work and I'd eat just enough to get by. So I was getting fitter, I was getting leaner, I was still filming the beauty reels, everything, I was winning. And then eventually, because I felt so amazing, due to the 3D reality giving me a false hope that anything outside of me could make me feel good, it swung me back down with ghosted. No acknowledgement, no thank you, and not even a pass on the first round. I literally DM'd the team, like, this is the reels for you, no thank yous ever. Like, thank you for at least, doing these reels for us. None of it. So I was like, what the hell is going on in my reality? I'm winning internally. I'm getting mentally stronger. I'm taking in all these books, How to Rewire Your Subconscious by Joseph Murphy. I'm reading the Kabbalion properly. I'm listening to all these audibles while I'm painting. How can reality give me the complete opposite of my expectations? But then again, I continued. I was like, no, you know what? I'm not going to wait for, opportunity to get 20 grand. I'm going to go all in with my YouTube channel from last year, and I'm going to rebrand myself. So I did the same thing. I went all in. I felt like a winning. And then again, the algorithm like completely destroyed after I pre-filmed 100 plus YouTube videos, edited them in 1.5 months so that I had YouTube videos to post consistently every second day for 7 months and didn't get paid. Nothing happened. The thing is, when the 3D reality constantly discourages you because you're growing a bit too fast, you're ascending way too fast, and you're telling your old self, your old frequency, that I'm done with you and I'm serious about this. Now it's like so frightened that it's gonna do everything possible to convince you that you don't deserve a breakthrough. The thing is, a chick or a man who is attractive has self-trust. They trust life. So a person who trusts life does not let this red line make their emotions, make their identity oscillate. Last year, I allowed this red line to make me oscillate as hell. I was not that stable, but over time, I then came to learn that this is a pattern. And the only way for me to get out of this vibrational prison of I would go all in, I'll try really hard, I'll win for a bit, and then it brings me back down immediately, is that when the 3D gives you a win, you are grounded. So then, when the reality tries to make you lose and bring you back down, you are indifferent. Because when your level of self-trust is high and you know that you are the pedestal, and that 20 grand, that YouTube channel that's supposed to blow up, that thing outside of you, the trophy, the contest win, the everything is not the pedestal. You are the pedestal. So, hypothetically, let's just say that you are now applying this to the 120 grand Google job, which I know that when it comes to a reputable company, it's a big deal for a lot of people. When it comes to the 6 to 7 figure business, when it comes to the promotion, and when it comes to everything else, even including partner, like romantic interest. But let's just focus on these three as the predominant thing, that sometimes we seek permission from the 3D reality, and that makes us unattractive because you're easily swayed by the 3D conditions. And that kind of person, like when you come around people, they don't feel safe in your orbit because you depend your self-esteem on the outer factor. Your self-esteem is not created from within. So therefore, let's just say that Jane says, congratulations, you are offered the job. So naturally, as the version of me who didn't have high self-trust, I'd be like, oh my God, I finally made it, it's my day. And you'd feel overly excited, you feel so blissful, you feel euphoric, peak experience. And then, Jane, this happened to me before, by the way. A week later, Jane tells you, oh, sorry, for my situation, it was called like a voluntary admin or something like that, where the company just froze and they couldn't hire. But let's just say Jane tells you, sorry, we have to pause the hiring for now. Something's going on with the company and we're restructuring a few things, so we've got to put this the hiring process on pause. so we can't hire you right now. So immediately the 3D takes this job away from you. So first you were ascending here and you allow your self-esteem to shoot through the roof because Jane gives you the Google job. But then a week later, Jane says, sorry, we're gonna pause the hiring process, so you're not gonna get the job at Google today. And I can't guarantee you when we get back to you. We just have to, go through with this process for at least 6 months. So hopefully you keep in the loop, and if there's other job positions available for you, you're more than welcome to apply. But in the meantime, we wish you all the best. If you don't have a high self-trust, these situations could swing your self-esteem back and forth so much that you just never compound this sense of inner security, the sense of inner confidence within you, and you're just always below reality. You're always inferior to the challenges that are presented at you. And that's the same with like the deal with Joe's like, Patty, you are amazing and you are more than qualified. I love the work that you do. I love what you bring to the company and your character is amazing. So I'm gonna hire you. So verbally, Joe's like, all right, this is the contract, it's 100 grand and we'll give you a 20 grand installment kind of thing. We'll do it next week kind of thing. So let's just say that this is the situation. And the thing is, everything was supposed to be signed and sealed, the deal, everything was supposed to happen already. And then Joe tells you, oh, sorry, Patty, due to some difficulties that we're experiencing with these things outside of our company, the situation with the news, the politicians fighting, this and that, and I don't have the budget right now to really hire you in this time period because the oil price has gone up so high, and this is what's happening to the world right now, and there's just so many factors that's affecting our company structure, so we might even have to lay a few people off, so we're not ready to take you on board. After he already says you got the job. So your 100 grand that was supposed to be in your bank account, literally it gets taken away from you before it even lands in your bank account. And if you don't have a high level of self-trust, including promotion as well, if you don't have a high level of self-trust, you are gonna allow your self-esteem to deflate when this weird wonkiness comes at you. And that's why a person who is insanely attractive does not get swayed by either side of the coin, yes or no. Either way, this person who is insanely attractive is like, thank you, Jane, that's fine. I'm not gonna wait around for you. And okay, it stings a little bit, but I don't dwell in that because you are not the source of my worth. Okay, Joe, you don't have 100 grand to hire me today when you said that you will. Then I'll go and look for somebody else. I will go and increase my own value in the spare time, refine my offer, move on. Because the world, my self-esteem is not dependent on you saying yes to me. My self-esteem is not dependent on you giving 100 grand to me. And that comes from self-trust that no matter what happens, either yes or no, you have your back. You have your back. Nobody can shake you off the pedestal anymore. And that makes you insanely attractive. Moving on to the third point. The final thing that will make you insanely attractive to opportunities and people that can give you generous pay, handsome pay, and respect you when you work with them is honoring yourself. You have to honor yourself. I don't care if you're 20-year-old, I don't care if you're 14, I don't care if you're 35, I don't care if you're 60, 70, 80. At every stage of your life, no matter who tells you, the things that people used to tell me, Patty, you're a bit too young for this role. You sound like young. You have to lower your voice and speak more like an adult. Patty, you don't have enough experience for this. you know, this role may not suit you because you look young. No matter what age you are at, you have to honor yourself and forget about all those things that people say at you. You're too young, you're too inexperienced, you're not matching for this. I don't think your skill is a fit for this career path. You need to work 10 more years to become successful as an entrepreneur. If you honor yourself, none of these words will ever affect your self-esteem. But because at the time, I didn't honor myself. So therefore, as somebody with a lower self-worth, who's not very attractive, who doesn't have the essence of the person that has what they want, I would start looking up to people. So let's just say this lady, Jane, let's just say she runs a 7-figure company. So now, because people kept telling me, Patty, you look so young, you're inexperienced, you're still so young, blah, blah, blah. I then start to worship older people in the industry. And when I mean worship, I mean like I really admire their skills, their talent, and I give them authority because they are older than me. So I assume that older people, let's just say she's 10 years older than me, and her company, she says, runs 7 figures. I don't understand how the company structure is. I don't understand who she's hiring. I don't understand anything about it, but I know that it's a decent company and it runs 7 figures. And the minute I hear 7 figures and she's a bit older, immediately I put myself beneath her, beneath Jane. So what's happening is that this becomes the pedestal. So now you're depleting your own self-esteem and you're giving your power away to somebody else who looks successful on paper. And then another one of these come, let's just say Joe. And again, Joe has another company. So he's a successful founder, managing director of a successful company that's been running for a decade. So Joe is successful. His revenue is probably through the ceiling, maybe 8 figures, let's just say. And he's also maybe 10 years older and he's super experienced. People respect him. And he's got a bunch of people, investors and wealthy people in his portfolio. So you're like, I'm beneath him because I don't have experience like Joe. I'm younger than Joe. I don't have these wealthy, high net worth clients in my portfolio. So I'm beneath Joe. Last person, let's just say Jim. Perhaps now Jim is I don't know, an investor or somebody that, I've never invested. So therefore, Jim is way more skilled than me. So let's just say Jim's an investor. So now Jim is an investor and he's significantly older than you. He's probably 20 years older. So he's a very experienced investor. Again, you're like, Jim, Joe, and Jane has authority over me because on paper, they are financially successful, they have industry experience, they're more confident, more charismatic. So if any one of these, similar to Jim, Joe, and Jane, comes and tell me, you're too young to do this. You don't have enough experience to do this. I think your marketing message is weird. I think you're not doing the right thing with your marketing. Why don't you start off here? But you're supposed to get client testimonial first and your website has to look like this. What happens when you don't honor yourself is that all these words is going to deplete your self-esteem. So even though the next day, once you already let your self-esteem deplete, you can literally wear a brand name. So I didn't have my own brand name to wear. So I'll wear something similar that looks like brand name, but it's not brand name. So let's just say you have a Chanel coat and you start wearing a Chanel coat. And what else do? You probably get a hair perm. You go and whiten your teeth. You practice your interview or sales script. And you know what's even worse? Because I worked out and people associate working out with being more disciplined, successful. You can go and work out diligently. You can go swim. You can meditate. And you can do a bunch of shadow work and get into all that stuff oh yeah, I know shadow work. I'm spiritual. I'm ascending. My consciousness is ascending. And yeah, I read tarot cards too, and I can predict my future. And my friends can predict my future because based on astrology and my birthday, my birth year, this is how my life is going to be. So I think I'm above it all. But the thing is, the minute that you don't honor yourself inherently, that you are worthy, you are enough for the job that you want, you are enough for the career that you want, you are not too young for the things that you want, you are not too inexperienced for the things that you want. It is okay to look like you, it is okay to sound like you, to make that kind of money that you want. The minute that you inherently know this because you honor yourself, nothing can shake you in this world. Nothing can shake you. So going back to the goal that we wanted. Okay, let's just say now that you elevated your consciousness to be up here, and this is you. So therefore, the next time that Jane, Joe, and Jim, who is a 7-figure entrepreneur, 8-figure entrepreneur, investor, and they extremely, they look successful on paper and they're doing well, and you know what, they're nice people, they're all generous people too. And not just these core people, but let's just say there's more people like them. The way that there's a bunch of people that came into my life at the time. And they're similar. Some of them may be like finance manager. Some of them might be a lawyer. Some of them might be, I don't know, operations director, whatever. And you're just a young 20-something-year-old with lacking industry experience. And these people who seemingly are successful, at least financially, they start to put their opinions. They give you some opinions and career direction on what you should do, who you should be, how you should speak, where you should start. And they start to put a box in your field and they label you as, Patty, I think you're this young, you're just starting out, it's okay. No, you're not just starting out. I've been working on myself for years. And people start to misunderstand you and criticize you and all these things later on when you start to level up. Because when you start to ascend and you're no longer relatable to the same crowd, you're no longer feeding anyone outside of you way too much way too much validation, but you give that validation back to yourself by honoring you. What tends to happen is that you become unrelatable. And the minute that you become unrelatable because you start to prioritize your frequency, maybe some of these people, they may still understand you. But a lot of people, the minute that you stop feeding them validation by being the old version of you, you're going to get criticism, you're going to get skepticism, judgment, and this why are you doing this though? Yeah, but shouldn't you be doing this? Yeah, but I think that you shouldn't dress this way because it's inappropriate for the career path that you're going on. I think that you should just go back and do this and probably gain 10 years experience. When another one of these come along, as the version of you who is unshakable, you're no longer going to oscillate when anybody throws you any of these why don't you do this instead? I think you're very good at, what is it? You're very good at writing. Why don't you become, get a job in this area instead? Why are you becoming an entrepreneur for? Why are you making YouTube videos for? I think you should get a proper job in advertising or marketing, and it has nothing to do with where you want to go in your life. Nothing. But it's just that because you want to be relatable to people and have friends, that's why you start to diminish your own self-worth, diminish your own energy, dim your own light to fit into other people's boxes. But a person who is insanely attractive to endless abundance, whether that is a Google job, a 6-7-figure business, a sales promotion, and constantly getting showered with opportunities that nurture their life and nourishes their life, this person, she only gives a crap about her own opinion of herself. Of course, sometimes you can absolutely take in opinions of others, and I think it's useful, but that opinion has to serve where you're going. But the person who honors herself, Patty who honors herself, her opinion, her inner self-talk, her own feedback matters the most. So whoever says you're too young to do this, you're too unqualified to do this, you should this, it is irrelevant to a person who honors herself. And once people's judgments towards you based on the box they put you in and based on the consciousness that they're operating at, so therefore people can only see you as much as they can see themselves. And when you get out of that box, when you finally take yourself out of that jail, like vibrational jail that you're stuck in based on people's perception towards you, and you honor the crap out of yourself, that's the minute that anybody would want to associate themselves with you, because you take the lead to your own life. You design your own life. You don't let other people take you off the pedestal anymore. So therefore, for Jane from Google, the one that wants to hire you, she's like, there's something about Patty that even if there's voluntary administration or whatever's going on in the company and I have to pause her hiring, I'm definitely keeping in touch with her. I'm making sure I'm not letting her go, and she has to get this job. And you know, there are some videos where people literally design job descriptions around the person because they want to hire that person. So when Joe says to you, yeah, but we're not ready to pay you 100 grand, but he makes it definite that, okay, if it's not this month, it will be that month, and it's definite. So therefore, you get treated with respect. You get treated like a person who isn't equal to the things that you want. And there's no like, yeah, but if you want to get paid more, you have to put in triple the hours so you can get a bit more pay. But if you want to work less hours, I have to underpay you because, you know, I don't have the budget to pay you more than this. Bull crap. This is how you become attractive, guys. It's building the right self-discipline, building the right self-trust and self-honoring. Oh, I was so into it. So we're going to stop the video here. And anyway, I'll be opening up a coaching service soon. So if you'd like to get in touch with me, there'll be a waitlist down below. And my purpose is to help high-achieving women reach their tipping points in 8 to 12 weeks by raising their inner world ceiling. So I hope you enjoy and see you soon. Bye-bye.